Your mistakes do not define you, but your response to them does. So many young people carry the weight of their past as if it is a permanent label stamped on their identity. They walk through life believing that one wrong choice, one failure, one embarrassing moment has the power to determine their entire destiny. But hear me clearly, it does not. A mistake is not a life sentence. It is a teacher, a mirror, a moment of awakening. What defines you is not what happened, but what you choose to do next. Do you hide? Do you give up? Or do you rise with more wisdom, more humility, and more strength than before? I want you to feel this with your heart. Every person you admire, every role model you look up to, every successful story you hear, they are built on countless mistakes. They didn't become who they are because they avoided failure. They became who they are because they refused to be destroyed by it. They treated each mistake as a message, each setback as guidance, each fall as a reminder that growth requires discomfort. And you too must learn to see your mistakes not as proof of your inadequacy, but as evidence of your courage to try. Only those who attempt, only those who step forward, only those who dare will experience mistakes, and that already sets you apart from the ones who never moved. When you make a mistake, instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That question alone can transform your entire life. It shifts you from self-blame to self-discovery, from regret to wisdom, from fear to empowerment. You cannot rewrite your past, but you can absolutely reshape your future by changing how you respond today. Stand in your truth, acknowledge where you fell, but don't let that moment become your identity. Let it become your foundation. Because the world doesn't remember those who never failed, it remembers those who turned their failures into fuel, those who chose resilience over regret, those who looked at their mistakes and said, "This is not the end of me. This is the beginning of who I'm becoming." Regret is not meant to break you. It is meant to teach you what truly matters. Too many young hearts carry regret as if it is a wound that will never heal, as if it is proof that they have failed at life. But regret is not your enemy. Regret is a compass. It points you toward the places where your soul wanted more attention, more courage, more honesty. Regret whispers the truth that you were too afraid to hear in the moment. It shows you the decisions you rushed, the opportunities you ignored, the people you took for granted, the dreams you postponed because fear felt bigger than faith. And when regret comes, don't run from it. Sit with it. Listen to it. There is wisdom hidden inside that discomfort. Young people often see regret as something shameful, something heavy, something to bury deep inside. But let me tell you with full strength, regret becomes a burden only when you refuse to learn from it. When you avoid your past, it chases you. But when you face it, it guides you. The very moment you decide to transform regret into understanding, something magical happens. Regret becomes your mentor. It teaches you to value your time, your relationships, your dreams, your boundaries. It teaches you what not to repeat, what never to settle for, what you must protect with your whole heart. Every regret you hold today is actually a message from your future self saying, "Next time, choose better. Next time, choose with intention. Next time, choose with courage." That is how regret empowers you. Not by reminding you of your failures, but by awakening your awareness. Regret is the echo of your potential calling you back to your true path. So instead of asking, "Why did I make that mistake?" ask, "What is this regret trying to show me about who I want to be?" Because regret is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your clarity. It is the moment life places a mirror in your hands and says, "Look closely, understand deeply, grow deliberately." And when you embrace that truth, regret becomes your greatest source of strength, shaping you into someone wiser, someone braver, someone who finally knows what truly matters in this precious journey of life. Young people must learn to slow down, listen, and choose purpose over pressure. The world today moves at a speed that leaves no space for breath, no space for reflection, no space for truly understanding who you are. Everywhere you look, someone is telling you to hurry. Hurry to succeed. Hurry to earn. Hurry to prove. Hurry to become something extraordinary before you even understand what extraordinary means to you. But let me tell you with complete honesty, rushing is the fastest way to lose yourself. When you move too quickly, you start living a life that is shaped by noise instead of intention. You start following paths that do not belong to you, chasing dreams that were never yours, and competing in races that don't align with your soul. Slow down, not because you are weak, not because you are behind, but because clarity cannot be found in chaos. When you finally pause, when you sit with your thoughts, when you listen to your inner voice without judgment or comparison, you begin to hear what truly matters to you. Your heart has been speaking to you all along, but the world's pressure has been louder. Quiet the world for a moment so you can hear yourself. Purpose is never discovered through rushing. It is revealed through stillness, reflection, and self-awareness. Young people often confuse urgency with importance. They believe that every opportunity must be taken, every trend must be followed, every expectation must be fulfilled. But you must understand this deeply. Not everything that comes your way is meant for you. Not every door deserves your knock. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the things that align with who you are becoming. That is how purpose is chosen. Deliberately, courageously, patiently. And remember, pressure is an illusion created by comparison. The moment you look at someone else's timeline, you forget the beauty of your own. So focus inward. Grow at your own pace. Make decisions that feel right in your soul, not ones that simply look good on the surface. Because when you slow down and choose purpose over pressure, you stop surviving and start living. You stop performing and start becoming. And that, my dear, is the beginning of a life that is not only successful, but meaningful, peaceful, and deeply yours. The world will try to shape you, but growth begins when you start shaping yourself. From the moment you open your eyes each morning, you are surrounded by voices telling you who to be, how to behave, what to want, what to fear, what to chase. Society has a script ready for you even before you find your own voice. And most young people, without realizing it, start living according to that script. They dress the way others expect, speak the way others approve, choose careers that impress others but suffocate their own soul. But hear this with the full force of truth. You cannot grow into the person you are meant to become if you are constantly shrinking to fit into someone else's expectations. At some point, you must stop letting the world lead you and start leading yourself. That is when growth truly begins. Growth requires bravery. The bravery to question the labels placed on you, the bravery to break away from narratives that limit you, the bravery to say, "This is who I am, and I will not apologize for becoming that person." When you finally dare to shape yourself, something powerful happens. You stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment. You stop worrying about fitting in and start focusing on standing tall. Young people often underestimate their ability to reinvent themselves. They think identity is fixed, personality is fixed, destiny is fixed. But nothing about you is fixed except your potential. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow people, mindsets, environments, and even your past self. You are allowed to change your direction when it no longer feels right. That is not failure. That is self-respect. That is recognizing that your life is too precious to be lived on autopilot. And let me tell you something important. When you begin shaping yourself, you will face resistance. People may not understand you. Some may criticize you. Others may try to pull you back into the version of you that they were comfortable with. But do not let their fear become your boundary. Their limitation is not your truth. Their doubt is not your destiny. Keep shaping yourself with intention, with awareness, with courage. Because the moment you choose to become the author of your own story, you step into a life that is real, meaningful, and authentically yours. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation of wisdom. Young people are taught to treat failure like a monster hiding under the bed. Something to fear, something to avoid, something that means you are not good enough. But the truth is the exact opposite. Failure is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you were brave enough to try. Every person who ever accomplished anything meaningful has a long history of falling, breaking, rebuilding, learning, and rising all over again. Failure is not the enemy, it is the path. It is the training ground where strength is built, character is formed, and vision becomes clear. When you fail, the first reaction is often panic, shame, embarrassment, or disappointment. But I want you to pause in that moment and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Because every failure carries a message. Sometimes that message is patience. Sometimes it is discipline. Sometimes it is humility. Sometimes it is resilience. And sometimes it is simply a redirection pointing you toward a path that is truly yours. Failure gives you insight that success cannot. Success makes you confident, but failure makes you wise. Success makes you celebrate, but failure makes you reflect. Success shows you your abilities, but failure shows you your possibilities. Young people often look at someone successful and think they must have avoided failure. No, they embraced it. They allowed failure to refine them, not define them. They treated every setback as a stepping stone, every rejection as a recalibration, every mistake as a lesson. They understood something powerful: you cannot grow if you are too afraid to fall. And you cannot become extraordinary if you only choose the safe path. Failure tests your dedication. It asks you, do you really want this? Are you willing to learn, adapt, improve, and try again? And if your answer is yes, failure becomes your greatest ally. So don't run from failure. Don't hide from it. Don't let it shut you down. Sit with it, learn from it, rise with it. Because every time you fall and get back up, you become stronger than before, smarter than before, and more aligned with who you are meant to be. Failure is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your transformation. Your journey is not about perfection. It is about courage, compassion, and contribution. So many young people exhaust themselves chasing flawless performance, spotless records, perfect outcomes. They think that life is a competition where the one who makes the fewest mistakes wins. But life doesn't reward perfection. Life rewards authenticity. It rewards the ones who dare to show up even when they are scared, the ones who choose kindness even when the world is unkind, the ones who give something meaningful even when they have little. Perfection is an illusion that keeps you paralyzed. Courage is the reality that helps you grow. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have every answer, every skill, or every step mapped out. What you need is the courage to take the first step, even when you feel unsure. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Every time you act bravely, you strengthen the voice inside you that says, I can. And that voice is worth more than any applause perfection could ever bring. Young people forget that courage is built through small, consistent acts: speaking up, standing firm, showing up, trying again, choosing what is right instead of what is easy. And along this journey, compassion must walk beside your courage. The world can be harsh, competitive, and unforgiving, and if you are not careful, you may begin to mirror that harshness. But compassion keeps your humanity alive. Compassion reminds you that you are not alone, that everyone is fighting silent battles, that kindness is not weakness but strength. When you choose to be gentle in a world that is often cruel, you become a source of healing, not only for others but for yourself. Compassion softens your heart without weakening your spirit. Then comes contribution, the part of your journey that gives your life meaning far beyond personal success. You are not here just to survive. You are here to make a difference, big or small. Maybe your contribution is through your words, your art, your work, your presence, your support for someone who needed a hand. Contribution is when your life becomes bigger than your own desires. It is when your actions leave a mark on hearts, not just on resumes. So release the pressure to be perfect. Instead, focus on becoming someone brave, someone kind, someone who gives more than they take. That is where real fulfillment lives. That is where your true journey begins.